up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are here with the final injury report of the week for the Lions and Ravens Sunday showdown. Ooh, okay, Sunday showdown, I see. Let's get it started.
Up, we're going to bite a kneecap off, and we're going to stand up, and then it's going to take 2 more shots to knock us down. And on the way up, we're going to take your other kneecap, and we're going to get up, and then it's going to take 3 shots to get us down. And when we do, we're going to take another hunk out of you. Before long, we're going to be the last one standing.
Welcome, everybody, to another video. Glad you guys are here. And we're here to take a look at this final injury report. We do have some designations. The list for the Baltimore Ravens has really expanded. Okay, I don't know if it's because it's hot in here. Let's just act like that didn't happen. Should we cut that out? I feel like I should. The Ravens injury report is much longer today, and the Lions didn't see a lot of changes, but there is some big updates that we can take away from it. We do have some designations. We have a lot of questionables to dive into today. So some of this stuff we're just going to have to wait on for inactives, and there's a few names on here that we're just going to have to keep our eye on for Sunday. But we're going to dive right into this. I don't remember who we started off with yesterday. I think yesterday we started off with Baltimore, and if that is correct, that means today we got to start off with the Detroit Lions. But I kind of want to start off with Baltimore again because, man, when I roll through their injury report, I'm like, dang, there's a lot of dudes on here. So I think we should do that first, and then we'll take a look at the Lions side of things because it shouldn't take as long. But for the Ravens, it's much different. Unfortunately, man, they've been kind of hit with it. And today, it was COVID, which has made things really kind of confusing to keep up with. So we're going to do our best to try to break it down and explain what's going on here. So here you go. As you guys can see on the screen, this is the injury report for the Baltimore Ravens for Sunday's game. The big one in the middle, the Friday, that is today's injury report. We have the designations all the way on the right with the Q's, which means questionable. You'll see out. If there's an N, that means they're in. They're going to play. D for doubtful and P for probable, but you don't have to worry about those two because no one on this has those 2 designations on either side. I haven't seen probable. I don't know if I've seen probable once. I've seen doubtful once, but I guess that's just not really a thing anymore. Either way, let's take a look at this report, kind of try to roll through it a little bit. Starting off at the top, we have a new addition to this list. We try to put some of the new additions at the top here. At the bottom, you can see COVID, so we'll get to that in a second. You have Pernell McPhee, the outside linebacker, who did not participate today. It was his first day on the list with a shoulder injury. He has now been labeled as questionable. Now, really, they've lost a lot of linebacker depth, potentially, for this game on Sunday today because of COVID, things like that. I mean, their top 2 outside linebackers are Tyus Bowser and Justin Houston, but there's a good shot Justin Houston's not going to play on Sunday. Behind that, they do have rookie out of Penn State, Jason, as their other outside linebacker, but they're missing some depth now. Continuing down, we have Chris Board, the inside linebacker. This is the weird one, listed with other. Now, I've heard some rumblings that, oh, maybe it's because he was in close contact with the guy that had COVID and tested positive for it. So this one I'm not completely sure about because he wasn't placed on the COVID reserve list. He's just listed with other. I don't know if he's dealing with an injury or what, but I know he didn't practice today. So the backup inside linebacker is listed as questionable for his first day being on the list after being labeled as other. We'll probably get an update on this as the day goes on, but as of right now, I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. So we'll see. Now, this is the big one, Lamar Jackson. I know a lot of people wondering, hey, what's going on with Lamar, man? Well, like we said yesterday, he was just sick. He wasn't feeling well. I've heard, stomach bug, stomach virus, whatever it may have been. He just wasn't feeling well. And apparently wasn't COVID because he would have been on the COVID list, I would assume. So Lamar Jackson today at full participation returned to practice, even though the initial reports were that, yeah, it's because he flipped into the end zone. It was like, yeah, he's sore from it, but it's really just because he's not feeling well. So today he returned to practice. He is listed as questionable. He had a full participation, however, and he's expected to play. I guess probable just not a thing, maybe because he didn't practice on Thursday. I don't know if they can put him as probable, but either way, you're going to see Lamar Jackson. I'll just say that. You'll see Lamar on Sunday. Dalen Hayes, the outside linebacker with a knee injury, did have full participation today, which is good. That was an improvement over yesterday, which was at limited participation, but he is still listed as questionable. But they need really all the help that they can get at the linebacker spot once we get down to the bottom of this. Continuing with DeShaun Elliott, the safety, the concussion injury last week's game against Kansas City. He is now up to full participation, which is the highest he's hit this week. He's improved throughout the week. Now he's listed as questionable, and there's probably a good shot that we see him on Sunday as well. That is great improvement for DeShaun Elliott. That's big news for them. One of their starting safeties looks like he's going to be on the field on Sunday. Then you have Ronnie Stanley, who hasn't participated all week. He has been listed as out with the ankle injury, so we expect to see the tackles that we saw last week, which, going back and watching the film today, and as I've been kind of just diving into it, taking it all in, taking my notes for a game plan video, I'm like, okay, yeah, this looked way better than it did in week one. Like, it's one thing to say it, but it's another thing to see it. Week one looked rough. Villanueva on the right side of the offensive line, he was getting killed against against Max Crosby, but now they made the switch. It looks better. You have Villanueva on the left side, and at the right side, you move Patrick up. It looked way better, and that's what I anticipate seeing this week. Derek Wolfe, now 3 straight games have been labeled out again. So 3 straight games for Derek Wolfe, the defensive lineman with the hip and the back, is now out. So losing a little bit of defensive line depth there, that's for sure. Now, you'll also see Justin as we go down to the bottom, Justin Madubuike, who is also now on the COVID list, and we'll get to that in a second. But people have been kind of concerned with their depth. Honestly, man, they have some good defensive linemen. This is a good run defense. They've allowed one of the lowest amount of rushing attempts in football, and that could also be part of the teams that they've played, Kansas City and LA. But they've also allowed one of the lowest yards per attempt. And some of the names that they have there that will be playing, guys like Ellis, Calais Campbell, but Ellis in particular, 350 pounds, man, that guy's a run stuffer. You pair him with a Calais Campbell, like they have dudes that can stop the run, and they're pretty athletic for their size. So we'll get into that more in the game plan, but I'm just saying. All right, I'm just saying, they still got some players on that D-line, that's for sure. It is their most expensive position by positional spending according to Over the Cap. It's like $37 million. It's the most expensive in the NFL. Anyways, Tavon Young, knee injury, full participation. He's again approved, and it looks like he's probably going to play this weekend. So their cornerback position has been getting much better. Another guy that did not finish against the Chiefs, but he did make some big plays. Looks like he's going to be on the field as well. That secondary is coming around with Marlon Humphrey, Jimmy Smith. Now you throw in a Tavon Young. The safety position's getting right. You don't have Marcus Peters, but you still have some talent back there and healthy. Marquise Brown. This was a big one I was keeping my eye on. He did not participate yesterday, which was huge, but he has been once again upgraded to limited participation. He's still listed as questionable. It was not full, but the fact that he went from no participation to limited is a very good sign for the receiver. That is the top target for Lamar. Watching Marquise Brown, man, he is a game changer. He's fast, but I mean, he just likes to throw it to him. Aside from Mark Andrews, man, when he needs a few yards, he's looking at him, and they put him in a slot a lot. He's super electric. You just got to have an eye on him at all times. So Marquise Brown is one of those players that catch a 5-yard pass and break it for 40. He's a guy that is trending in the right direction. Jimmy Smith, full participation, another guy trending in the right direction. They have a lot of players on here, but they got a lot of good news as well. Listed as questionable with his ankle for sure. Now we move on to this COVID part. And what I'm hearing about the COVID side is that if you are vaccinated, it can only take 24 hours. You could have 24 hours, test negative twice, and you can be back out there. So if you're vaccinated, and by the way, we don't know who is vaccinated. According to John Harbaugh, he's not allowed to say that. So that's one of those things we're just not sure about. And the one guy that we do know is Jalen Ferguson. As you can see the P, he did test positive. So there's been contact tracing, and that could have something to do with Chris Board. That's kind of been the rumors, and that'll probably continue through tomorrow. What I'm getting is that there's a good shot they're all going to be out for Sunday. It could have been as simple as just, hey, we were in close contact, so I'm not completely sure. It sounds like they're all out. That's the report I've heard. But at the same time, they weren't necessarily listed as out. So I'm not going to say officially they're out for Sunday's game. All of these guys listed with COVID. I'm assuming Jalen Ferguson is probably out because he did test positive. But Brandon Williams, Justin Madubuike, and Justin Houston, I can't guarantee they're all out. If they're unvaccinated, they're basically locked out. But if they are vaccinated, it's 24 hours, 2 negative tests. And I don't know necessarily if they had to have a test today that came back positive for them to be, listed here. So I just know if you're in close contact or tested positive. So I think technically they could get off this list and play on Sunday. But it sounds like the idea is they won't play. Now, Brandon Williams is their starting nose tackle. He's missed some time. I talked about Ellis. Justin played about 50% of the snaps last week. He stepped into a bigger role. So he is a big name for them, about 330 pounds. That's really what they're known for, is their run stuffers on that D-line, but they do have depth there. Justin, who played 50% of the snaps last week, is also on this list. He's a good young player that slipped to the 3rd round, but man, he's an athlete. I'm watching him blow up some plays in the backfield, and it's like, dang, he's got some get off. He can avoid some offensive linemen. If you pull out of his, gap, he can get to the backfield. And he's also very smart too. You watch him pick up on screens, and it's like, okay, he's got a lot there. I remember back when he was coming out of draft, I was looking at him like a 2nd round pick. And Justin Houston, who we saw with rest earlier in the week, now has been added back to this list. Apparently, Ravens team is 90% vaccinated is what we're hearing. So I don't know if those people are in that mix or not. But we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll probably get some updates soon. And like I said, I don't have it right now, but I'll keep an eye on it. If I get some updates, I'll share it with you guys when I have it, whatever video that may be. So that's the Ravens side. We can see a lot of new names to this list. Just defensively, they're missing some depth here, that's for sure. But honestly, even though there's a lot of names, they had a lot of improvement across the board at big spots like cornerback, So they had a lot of improvement. Marquise Brown, so Lamar Jackson. So they have a lot of good news here. A lot of names, but a lot of good news, I would say. And that takes us to the Lions. final injury report for the week. And not a lot of changes this one. A lot of the same names, some good and some bad. So let's dive into it. Starting off with Jamie Collins, as we knew, he was not played this weekend. He has been listed as out. He did not practice this week. The Lions basically have him on the trading block, have suitors. They haven't made it happen yet. And look, even DoseOfDion talked to me today. You know, you don't want this to be a distraction for your team, and that's probably a huge reason why he's not at practice. I don't know when they're going to get this done. They want to have it sooner than later, but at this point in the week, Brad Holmes can, of course, kind of do this if they know what they're looking for, but you want to really focus in on this game. I mean, if you have to put that aside, that's fine. So having him just not show up to practice, we already knew that he wasn't going to play this week. It just made the most sense. So Derek Barnes, Jalen Reese-Maybin, but honestly, watching back schematically, and you listen to what Dan Campbell said about the importance of the safeties, I think we're going to see a lot of safeties down low, and we'll see how the Lions play it. Anthony Lynn played the Ravens a certain way, which we'll get into in the game plan video, which was definitely different. And I don't want to spoil it yet, but it was definitely different, and it worked. However, it was years ago. So we'll see what the Lions game plan is in this week. But I'll just leave it there. However, not going to play this week. No, not injury related. He has taken his last snap with the Lions, it does seem. Continuing down, Julian Okwara, again, limited today with the neck injury, listed as questionable. Now, this is going to be big because the Lions like to have 4 active outside linebackers. I'm assuming they're going to do it again this week. As you can see below that, Trey Flowers with his knee injury that has been added on top of the shoulder that really all of our defensive linemen seemingly have been dealing with, has had him again with no participation today, which means he is now listed as questionable. He did not practice at all this week, according to this report. Dan Campbell said mentally they want to make sure he's right and see where he was at on Friday. And on Friday, he wasn't practicing. So that's not good news at all for Trey Flowers. Now, do I think we have options if Trey Flowers can't play? I definitely do, especially when you break down the scheme of how the Lions may attack this and approach this Ravens offense. I know they run the ball, but the personnel moves could be much different than what we've seen maybe in the first 2 weeks. So we still do have a Romeo, of course, who seems like he's going to play as he has been participating in limited fashion all week. Trey Flowers, who was limited last week, we saw Charles Harris step in, and Charles Harris played well. So I think the Lions do have good options there. One thing I would say about this, though, is that he is listed as questionable. Lions haven't counted it out, and there are a few guys on your roster that you know can play without practicing in the week, and Trey Flowers is probably one of those guys because you just know what you're gonna get. So we'll see. Michael Brockers, defensive end, shoulder, again, limited participation, again, and listed as questionable. So him and Romeo kind of in the same boat. They practiced all week, limited fashion. They played last week, and they're still in here with the shoulder injury just like they were last week, but they're both listed as questionable, and I would actually point that as a good sign. I think that's good that they practiced all week. Khalif Raymond with his thigh is still on this list. He played last week after getting placed on the injury report the day before the final day last week on Friday with this thigh, and he continues to be on this list throughout the week with the thigh. But again, still limited participation, just like Romeo, just like Brockers, and he's been listed as questionable. Kevin Strong, here's an interesting one. Limited participation. So he went from full to limited, moved down a little bit, listed as questionable for this game. Now, even if he's not 100% right, I expect the Lions to keep him out because they do have Levi, who only played 10 snaps last week, and he could just get more snaps. But also, now that we're talking about D-line, let's also point out the fact that Deshaun Hand is trending in the right direction. Now, he's still on injury reserve, but after this week, he can return. All right, so he can't play against the Ravens, but that will be his 4th week. He can return, and we could see a little bit of Deshaun Hand possibly next week. He's been running off to the side with trainers. I can't guarantee he'll be out here next week because you just never know with him, but it is a good sign. We're going to be getting guys like this back, like a Cornell coming off of suspension. Guys that are going to be slowly kind of trickling back for the Lions off of injury reserve, which is great news, but of course they have to be healthy. Just because you can come back doesn't mean you will come back if you're not healthy, right? So we'll have to see where guys like Taylor Decker are at, things like that. But Deshaun Hand, he's running, which is nice. And finish it off with DeAndre Swift, again limited today. Still questionable with the groin injury, but I think we have a lot of good news here with these guys that did practice all week, even if it was just in limited participation. Because keep in mind, again, Wednesday was only a walkthrough, so that wasn't even like a full day of practice. But that is your injury report, your final injury report for this Lions and Ravens game. I know there's a lot to the Ravens side. For us, not a lot of crazy changes here, but we're going to dive into the game plan soon. You can see the progression throughout the week on Wednesday, Thursday, and of course today. Oh, I got to change it because mine said Thursday. Movie, hold up. Y'all seen the movie Friday?
Because it's Friday. You ain't got no job.
Y'all give me a rating on the movie Friday down below. I was watching Ice Cube talk about it like 2 days ago. Anyways, I'm sorry, this is off topic. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'll see you guys later for a game plan video. And tomorrow the plan is to have a Ravens guy on this channel to hear about his team a little bit from his point of view. Plus, Michigan plays Rutgers tomorrow, which will be a good time. We'll see how that game goes. Hopefully we get the dub, but we'll be live for that. Thank you, for watching, and I'm out.